Cause this is my birthday, bitch. And I am 28. I will smack a big bitch. What that bitch wanna do? I'll send you right to the Lord. Happy birthday to you. Let me make a wish.
Then I wish.
On June 25th, 2023, at 4:30 a.m., over 100 gunshots echoed across the corner of 57th Street and Prospect Avenue in Kansas City, Missouri. Multiple 911 calls poured in. By the time officers arrived, the scene was already unstable. Vehicles were abandoned. People were running. 3 individuals were down. 9 others were injured. Shell casings littered the pavement like fallen leaves. Among the dead was a 28-year-old woman, Jasity Strong, a mother of 2 who had been celebrating her birthday just hours earlier. The location of the shooting wasn't a nightclub, but an auto repair shop that had quietly become a hotspot for unregulated after-hours parties. That night, it was packed. Witnesses say the crowd was large, the music loud, and the atmosphere rowdy. But what triggered the gunfire? Police said no one on the scene stuck around to explain. Cameras caught chaos, but few clear faces. The shooters disappeared into the darkness. Jasity had spoken to her mother at midnight. She promised she'd be home soon after the party. That never happened. Instead, she became one of the victims in one of Kansas City's deadliest shootings that summer. The investigation uncovered bullet casings from multiple weapons. A 26-year-old man named Kayvon Green was later arrested and charged with second-degree murder. Authorities still believe more individuals were involved. No one has yet explained what started the violence. This is not just a story about celebration turning into tragedy. It is a case study in how quickly life ends when guns are introduced into crowded, unregulated spaces. One moment, people were dancing. The next, they were running for their lives. And when the smoke cleared, a mother of 2 was dead in the street, her birthday balloon still floating nearby. Welcome to True Crime Unmasked. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more stories. The show where we uncover the disturbing crimes tearing communities apart and the haunting truths hidden behind closed doors. These are real stories, real individuals, real consequences. Stay tuned for more captivating stories. Now let's dive in. Jasity Strong was a 28-year-old woman living in Kansas City, Missouri. She was a mother of 2 children, a 6-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son. At the time of her death, Jasity worked as a certified nursing assistant, and she was actively training to become a registered nurse RN. She also ran a side business as a makeup artist, taking appointments from local clients and friends. Footage from Jasity's phone and social media accounts provided a clear view of her everyday life. Videos show her feeding her daughter before school, preparing bottles for her baby, and helping her daughter with reading homework. Other clips display her doing makeup on clients in a small home studio setup. She could be seen organizing makeup palettes, applying foundation, and using ring lights to take before and after photos. In one clip, Jasity appears in medical scrubs, seated in what looks like a break room, documenting her work shift. These visual recordings were collected as part of the investigation and later used to confirm her daily routine. Family members provided additional context about her lifestyle. In interviews with law enforcement and media, they described Jasity as someone focused on advancing her career. Her mother confirmed that she had recently applied for additional nursing certifications. Friends stated that Jasity was booking makeup clients for the upcoming summer months and had several appointments lined up in July. A planned vacation cruise was also on her calendar. She was scheduled to leave the country in August for the first time. Housing records and custody arrangements confirmed that her daughter lived primarily with Jasity and her mother, Tamika Jenkins. Her son was in the care of his biological father, but Jasity maintained frequent contact with both children. There were no indications of any legal issues, no history of violence, and no known association with criminal activity. At the time of her death, Jasity was not involved in any civil or criminal cases. Her employment was steady, and there were no pending disputes, financial or otherwise. She had a current driver's license, was registered to vote, and had no known enemies or public conflicts. On the evening of Saturday, June 24th, 2023, Jasity Strong planned to celebrate her 28th birthday. The event was not organized at a licensed venue or public hall. Instead, the gathering was held at an automotive repair shop located near the intersection of 57th Street and Prospect Avenue in Kansas City. According to municipal records, the location was not approved for social events, parties, or public gatherings. Despite that, it was known in the community as a spot where after-hours parties were often held. The party was organized informally. There was no online invitation or printed flyer. Guests learned about the event through group messages and word of mouth. By 10 p.m., music could be heard coming from the auto shop, and vehicles began parking along the surrounding streets. As the night progressed, the number of attendees increased. By 1 a.m., the crowd was estimated at 50 to 100 people, according to police statements and nearby security footage. There were no security guards present. No entrance checks were performed. Alcohol was served and consumed openly. Loud music was playing through large speakers, and people were dancing in and around the open garage bays. Witnesses later stated that several people brought their own alcohol. There was no record of food being served or any attempt to control guest behavior. Jasity arrived at the party sometime after midnight. She was recorded in multiple videos, posted to Snapchat and Instagram. In the footage, she is seen wearing jeans, a white top, and a birthday sash. She posed for photos, danced with friends, and smiled during video recordings. No signs of conflict or disorder were visible in the early footage. She stayed near the DJ setup and beverage area for most of the event. Multiple sources confirmed she was not involved in any arguments or altercations that evening. Individuals interviewed by police later stated she appeared to be in good spirits and spent time taking photos with friends. She was seen briefly on a video call, reportedly checking in with her daughter's caregiver. There were no bouncers, no organized staff, and no crowd limit. Vehicles were parked haphazardly along the sidewalk and street. The event went unchecked by law enforcement for several hours, and there was no known permit issued for the gathering. As the night continued past 3 a.m., the crowd grew denser. Music volume increased, and more individuals arrived. By 4:30 a.m., according to multiple witness statements collected by investigators, a physical fight broke out near the DJ area. The cause of the altercation was not confirmed. Witnesses reported shouting and shoving between a small group of individuals. As the argument escalated, a person pulled out a firearm. Seconds later, the first shots were fired. Immediately after the initial gunfire, additional individuals within the crowd also drew weapons and began shooting. Gunfire erupted in multiple directions. Witnesses described the scene as chaotic, with people screaming, running, and ducking behind cars. Some tried to take cover inside the auto shop, while others attempted to escape through nearby alleys and side streets. There was no structure or control of the crowd, and no security personnel were on site to intervene. In total, over 100 rounds were fired during the shooting, according to police reports. Shell casings were later found scattered across the parking lot, inside the shop, and on the surrounding sidewalks. Vehicles parked near the party were struck by bullets. Some cars were damaged and left behind, while others were driven off in a hurry, sometimes crashing or scraping nearby property. Surveillance cameras from nearby buildings captured parts of the scene, but did not show a clear view of every shooter involved. Among those attempting to flee was Jasity Strong. Video analysis and witness interviews confirmed that she was unarmed and not involved in the initial fight. She was seen trying to move away from the shooting, but she was struck by gunfire before she could escape. Emergency responders later declared her dead at the scene. 2 other individuals also died as a result of the shooting. They were identified as 22-year-old Nico Manning and 27-year-old Camden Brown. Both were present at the party and sustained fatal gunshot wounds. Investigators confirmed that neither had engaged in the altercation that triggered the gunfire. Their positions at the time of the shooting placed them in the general direction of random fire. At least 9 other people were injured. These victims were taken to nearby hospitals with gunshot wounds of varying severity. Some were treated and released the same day. Others remained in critical condition for several days. None of the injured individuals were arrested at the scene. Investigators later reviewed videos taken by partygoers and surrounding business cameras. The footage showed multiple muzzle flashes and individuals running with firearms. However, poor lighting, movement, and crowd density made identification difficult. Police officers from the Kansas City Police Department responded to the scene within minutes after receiving multiple 911 calls. Around 4:30 a.m., callers reported gunfire and injuries at the location. Upon arrival, officers encountered a large, active crime scene. People were running away, injured individuals were on the ground, and vehicles were attempting to leave the area quickly. The first priority for law enforcement was to secure the scene. Officers established a perimeter around the area to stop additional vehicles and pedestrians from entering. Emergency medical teams arrived and began treating the wounded. Paramedics performed CPR on multiple victims and transported them to hospitals. Jasity Strong, Nico Manning, and Camden Brown were pronounced dead at the scene. Once the area was stabilized, officers began the preliminary investigation. The crime scene was cordoned off using yellow police tape. The entire block surrounding the auto repair shop was declared restricted. Officers searched the area for suspects and questioned individuals still on site. No one was taken into custody at that time. Investigators from the crime scene unit were called in. They began documenting the area with photographs and video. Shell casings were marked and collected. In total, more than 100 casings from various calibers were recovered. Multiple vehicles were impounded for forensic examination. Some had broken windows, flat tires, or visible bullet impacts. Others were abandoned, with doors open and personal belongings inside. No suspects were immediately arrested. Witness cooperation was limited, and several individuals left the scene before giving statements. Police asked the public for video footage and anonymous tips. The area remained closed to the public for several hours as investigators worked. Following the incident that occurred on June 25, 2023, Kansas City Police Department officers arrived at the scene near 57th Street and Prospect Avenue. Upon securing the area and assisting emergency medical responders, the officers began their preliminary investigation. The crime scene was complex. Multiple individuals were injured, and 3 were confirmed deceased, including 28-year-old Jasity Strong. Over 100 shell casings were recovered. Several vehicles were damaged or abandoned. The perimeter was sealed off using police tape, and the area was declared an active investigation site. As par protocol, officers began canvassing the area for witnesses. Attendees who remained at the scene were approached for questioning. However, police encountered significant challenges in gathering initial statements. According to official reports, many individuals present at the event declined to provide full accounts of what happened. Some refused to speak entirely, while others gave unclear or conflicting details. Police noted that the lack of cooperation slowed the information gathering process. Detectives assigned to the case reviewed digital evidence as part of their initial strategy. This included scanning social media platforms for live-stream videos, stories, and photos uploaded during or after the event. Investigators also contacted local businesses to obtain surveillance footage. A nearby liquor store and a gas station located within a 1-block radius had operational security cameras that faced the street. Additional footage was requested from city traffic cameras positioned at nearby intersections. Surveillance recordings were retrieved and reviewed in sequence. One clip showed a black sedan arriving at the location shortly before the gunfire. Another video showed individuals fleeing from the party at high speed. A third piece of footage showed muzzle flashes, indicating the direction from which the initial shots were likely fired. Detectives focused their attention on identifying any vehicle that appeared to arrive just before the gunfire and then left immediately after. Using license plate recognition software, police identified one vehicle of interest. The vehicle was a dark-colored 4-door sedan registered in Jackson County, Missouri. Investigators ran the vehicle through DMV records and found that it was linked to a 26-year-old male with a prior weapons-related charge, though not a felony conviction. Using this lead, police requested access to phone records and GPS metadata. Investigators were able to confirm that the phone belonging to the registered vehicle owner was located near the scene at the approximate time of the shooting. They also obtained timestamps from local cell towers, showing pings near the crime location before and after the shooting. Ballistics teams examined the shell casings found at the scene. Forensic analysts determined that the casings came from multiple calibers, indicating that more than one weapon had been fired. Among these, a specific 9mm shell type matched with a previously recovered weapon in a different, unrelated case. That weapon had not been returned to police custody, and its status was unconfirmed. This finding suggested that one or more illegal firearms may have been present at the scene. With limited cooperation from witnesses and no publicly disclosed motive, investigators relied heavily on physical and digital evidence to narrow down potential suspects. They issued a BOLO, be on the lookout, alert for the black sedan, and continued to monitor online chatter for any claims of responsibility or confession. Several days after the incident, law enforcement located the vehicle identified from surveillance footage. The car was discovered parked outside a residence in Grandview, Missouri, a suburb located about 25 minutes south of the shooting location. The vehicle was observed by officers during a routine patrol, after which a search warrant was obtained and executed. During the vehicle's search, officers recovered a 9mm semi-automatic handgun from the glove compartment. The firearm was sent to the crime lab for analysis. Preliminary findings indicated that the gun was likely used during the June 25th shooting, based on ballistic matches and residue analysis. The registered owner of the vehicle, a 26-year-old male, was taken into custody for questioning. His name was not immediately released to the public. Police issued a brief statement indicating that a suspect had been detained and that charges were under review. As of that date, no murder charges had been filed. The firearm recovered was submitted for further testing, and the suspect remained in holding while the investigation continued. Community members began requesting more information about the case. Local advocacy groups and journalists demanded transparency from the police department. Public pressure grew as no additional suspects were named and no further details were released about the investigation status. City officials confirmed that legal protocols prevented early disclosure of certain evidence until formal charges were filed. As of the most recent update, no definitive motive had been confirmed. The investigation remained active, with police continuing to collect witness statements, review forensic results, and cross-reference digital evidence. After the fatal shooting that claimed the life of 28-year-old Jasity Strong on June 25, 2023, family members responded by speaking publicly and cooperating with the investigation. Her mother, Tamika Jenkins, gave multiple interviews to local media outlets. In her statements, she confirmed that her daughter had left for the birthday gathering shortly after speaking with her at midnight. According to her account, Jasity told her that the party would not last long and that she would stop by afterward. Jasity never returned home. Tamika provided factual information about her daughter's activities before and during the birthday weekend. She also confirmed that Jasity had not been involved in any altercations and was not known to carry any weapons. She described her daughter's work history, medical training, and parenting responsibilities to support public understanding of the case. Her statements were used in multiple news reports and later featured in the early phase of documentary coverage. Following Jasity's death, the family launched a fundraising campaign through the GoFundMe platform. The stated purpose of the fundraiser was to provide long-term care and financial support for Jasity's two children, a 6-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son. The page included basic information, such as the date of her death, the family's immediate needs, and their intent to keep the children in stable living environments. As of the time of reporting, the fundraiser had received several donations, and the funds were being managed by close family members. Child custody was addressed shortly after the incident. Jasity's daughter now resides with her maternal grandmother, Tamika Jenkins, who has assumed legal and physical custody. Jasity's son remains in the custody of his biological father. Both living situations were arranged privately by the family without intervention from Child Protective Services. The daughter, now age 6, has been described by the family as being unaware of the full details surrounding her mother's death. According to Tamika Jenkins, the child has asked questions but does not yet understand the permanence of the loss. The family has stated that they intend to address the topic with professional assistance as the child gets older. No official counseling services have been confirmed at the time of this report. The family continues to make brief public appearances and updates through social media and community events. They have asked the public for help with information related to the case and have supported anti-violence efforts in the Kansas City area. No public statements have included emotional appeals or opinions about suspects. The shooting that killed Jasity Strong and 2 other individuals drew attention from local residents, advocacy groups, and city officials. Multiple vigils were held at or near the site of the incident in the days following the shooting. Community members gathered to place candles, flowers, and signs along the sidewalk outside the auto shop where the party took place. Photos from the scene showed printed images of Jasity, handwritten messages, and several posters calling for an end to gun violence. Anti-gun violence organizations in Kansas City also responded. Groups such as KC Mothers in Charge and Aim for Peace issued public statements, emphasizing the need for gun law reform and improved safety measures at private gatherings. These organizations shared statistical data about rising gun-related deaths in the area and called for legislative action. They did not make any direct claims regarding suspects, but encouraged witnesses to cooperate with police. City officials, including Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas, addressed the shooting through press briefings and social media platforms. The mayor publicly criticized the use of unauthorized venues for large public gatherings. He highlighted the fact that the auto repair shop where the party took place was not licensed for entertainment or event hosting. In his statements, he noted that such locations often operate outside the law, lack proper security, and increase the risk of violence. Following the mayor's comments, the city launched a formal investigation into unlicensed party venues. The goal was to identify properties being used for unauthorized late-night gatherings. Code enforcement teams were tasked with visiting high-risk properties, issuing citations, and documenting repeat offenders. Business owners were warned that allowing parties without permits would result in legal consequences. The city council held a meeting to review current regulations on after-hours events, property usage, and gun violence prevention. As part of the response, law enforcement officers were instructed to increase surveillance in known hotspots and to partner with neighborhood watch groups to report suspicious activities. Several eyewitnesses reported seeing an altercation moments before the gunfire began, but statements varied significantly. Some described a fight near the DJ booth. Others claimed that multiple individuals pulled out firearms simultaneously. Due to these conflicting accounts, investigators could not rely on a single version of events. There were also no clear video recordings showing the initial trigger of the incident. After reviewing surveillance footage from nearby businesses and gathering digital evidence from phones and social media, officers identified a person of interest. Within days, law enforcement detained a male suspect in Grandview, Missouri. The man was found with a weapon in his vehicle. Ballistic tests were conducted to determine whether the weapon matched any of the shell casings found at the scene. The suspect was held on weapons-related charges. As of the latest public updates, no murder charges have been officially filed in connection with the shooting. Prosecutors stated that the case was still under investigation, and they were awaiting further evidence before making a formal decision. Authorities have not released the suspect's full name, citing the ongoing nature of the case. Police have also indicated that more than one shooter may have been involved, but no final conclusion has been made. Investigators have not disclosed how many individuals discharged weapons, nor have they confirmed whether Jasity Strong was targeted or struck by a stray bullet. These details remain pending as forensic analysis, and interviews continue. The local prosecutor's office reported that they're working closely with Kansas City Police Department, KCPD, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, ATF, to track the origin of the weapons used. Law enforcement agencies are also trying to trace the chain of custody for all recovered firearms, which may lead to additional suspects. Because the event occurred in an unauthorized gathering space, an auto repair shop not zoned for parties, city officials also began looking into property owner and whether any local ordinances were violated. So far, no public charges have been filed against the event organizers or the venue operators. As of now, the case remains open. No murder trial has begun. No one has been officially charged with the killings of Jasity Strong, Nico Manning, or Camden Brown. Law enforcement has not provided a timeline for when further arrests or court proceedings might occur. The long-term impact of the incident extends beyond the immediate crime scene. Jasity Strong's 2 children, a daughter age 6 and a son age 1, are now being raised by other family members. The daughter lives with Jasity's mother, Tamika Jenkins. The son remains in the care of his biological father. The family has not released any further details about custody arrangements or financial support. Due to the lack of legal closure and the ongoing investigation, the family of the victim continues to wait